Hey everybody, it's Kyle. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be discussing the books that I am most looking forward to releasing in 2022. I decided to pick 22 of them, so because of that I'm going to keep it pretty short. And this is just a brief highlight of some books that I'm really looking forward to, books that I'm definitely going to be checking out either this year or the beginning of next year, things that I'm really excited for, and hopefully there's some things in here that you haven't heard of, and then you can look forward to them too. So the first book is a little bit of a cheat, but it came out today, so I feel justified in saying that it's a new release, and that is The Lion by Connie Golden. Connie Golden is one of my favorite historical fiction authors. Him and Bernard Cornwell, I feel like, write the historical fiction that I find the most gripping so far in my historical fiction reading. And he has a lot of really good books in different eras that I find really get into the facets of the characters that they're following, or the political or military situations. And he has a couple books that are based on Greeks, but this time he's writing a book based on Pericles, who was the hero of the Athenians. And Pericles is a super awesome figure. I'm very excited for this book. I feel like Pericles does not get enough representation within fiction. I mean, he's not depicted in films or TV shows or books even really often, and it's a shame because Pericles is really cool. So I'm really excited for this book. If you like historical fiction, or if you like Pericles or ancient Greece, I absolutely recommend checking this out. Connie Golden has not had a miss yet for me. The next book I'm looking forward to is a nonfiction humor book by Tom Segura called I'd Like to Play Alone, Please. This comes out June 14th, and it is just a collection of essays from Tom Segura. He's a very funny stand-up comedian. He's one of my favorites. I don't expect this book to blow my socks off. Most books by comedians are just fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's probably what I'm expecting, just a book where I laugh a little, and I really appreciate Tom's humor and the stories that are in it. I actually just got approved with the audiobook as an advanced copy for this, so I will be finishing it probably right away. And yeah, if you like, humorous books and you like Tom Segura, I think this is a win for you for sure. I'm pretty stoked about it. Then we have a book that I've already read, but you guys haven't read, so I'm going to include it on the list because I'm excited for everybody else to get to it, and that is Speaking Bones by Ken Liu. Speaking Bones is actually right here. Speaking Bones by Ken Liu. Haha, advanced reader copy. Speaking Bones. I think this was an incredible final book for a series. I'm so excited for everybody else to be able to catch up with this. I'm going to be doing a chat with Ken Liu about the series that's going to be released around the time that the book is released. And I'm going to go into details with Ken about all the decisions that he made that ripped my heart out during this series, and I can't wait. I absolutely love the Dandelion Dynasty. We all know that already, and I can't wait for it to be out in the world so that other people can experience it. The next book is released June 21st as well, and that is How Minds Change by David McRaney. McRaney has a couple books about how our decision-making process is flawed. I believe it's like You Are Not Smart and You Are Now Less Dumb or something like that. And I have his other books, and I've been meaning to get to them, but all of his books sound really good to me. And the fact that he's releasing a third makes me want to go back and get into his back catalog a bit more. His books are kind of about how our decision-making process works and how we change, and exactly how the book says how our minds change. The process of decision-making is something that I find really fascinating, and pretty much any book on this subject, as long as it's not like trashed by, the people who have read it, is going to get my interest, and the fact that he's done a couple of these books means that I'm all in on this one. Next we have Upgrade by Blake Crouch. That comes out July 19th. I don't really know anything about Upgrade, but I do know that Blake Crouch has earned his purchase from me. His last two books I've really enjoyed. I didn't like Recursion as much, but I did love Dark Matter, and I feel like Blake Crouch does the perfect blend of, the sciencey stuff, but like the thriller stuff where you just have to keep turning those pages. And I am so excited he's released another book. This will be the first time he's released a book that I am now aware of him as an author, so I am excited to experience the hype as it's happening, because I know that Recursion, people went crazy for when it came out. But yeah, can't wait for this release by Blake Crouch. Next we have Between Us, How Cultures Create Emotions by Batia Mesquita. I feel like I'm saying her name wrong. This comes out July 19th. I don't actually know that much about this book or the credentials of the author, but it is a topic I'm really interested in. The science behind how emotions are created and how cultures impact the way that we view emotions is something that is very interesting to me. I read How Emotions Are Made earlier last year, and I really liked it. I feel like a lot of people don't really put a lot of thought into how different cultures experience emotions and how that interplays into how we experience the world. And it's just a fascinating subject, so I'm really excited for this one. Next we have The Book Eaters by Suni Dean, I believe is her last name. This comes out on August 2nd. I actually do not know much about this book, except that the premise is a premise that I came up with in a very vague form when I was a teenager, and I'm sure it's entirely different than what the book is actually about. But essentially, they like eat books to then have the knowledge of that book. And that's actually something that I thought of when I was in high school. And I was like, that would make a really cool story. It's if like whenever you could like consume a book and then you knew it. And the fact that somebody else then like went and wrote a book about it means that I'm going to have to read this book. But it just sounds like a cool concept. I don't actually know what else is going on in the book at all, except that that concept alone sold me. So I'm going to be checking that out. Next we have The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri. This is out August 16th. I read The Jasmine Throne and I was really mixed on it, but the ending sold me and I just thought the world building was incredible. And a lot of my problems with The Jasmine Throne ended up getting fixed, or at least were on the upward trend by the end of the book. So I'm pretty excited for the second book. I think mainly pacing issues were my main problem with The Jasmine Throne. So if The Oleander Sword has that sorted out, I think it's going to be an incredible book, and I will definitely be checking that one out. Next we have Babel by R.F. Kuang. There's a big subtitle. It's like how the arcane history of something, 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 something. But you guys know what I'm talking about. It's one of the most hyped releases of the year, and I can't wait for it. R.F. Kuang has sold this book to me so well. I think it sounds so good. I've never read any dark academia, and I think just not even having that expectation of what it could be like makes me more excited because it'll be my first foray into the subgenre. I was really impressed with R.F. Kuang during the Poppy War trilogy. The trilogy did not end in the way that I wanted it to, but I never doubted her theme work, and the fact that she's delving so deeply into themes that are really important to her in Babel means that I have every expectation it is going to blow me away. Next we have Bonds of Chaos by Zach Argyle. This is the third book in the Threadlight series. As far as I know, Zach just finished the book. I think he's on like his second draft or something like that, and I'm really excited for it. Voice of War was a really good book, and I really liked it. But Stones of Light was really good, and it left everything off in such a place where I was like, oh man, I gotta wait for this third book. And luckily, Zach writes short books, so I'm really excited to just, dip right into it as soon as it comes out and finish it in a couple days. And then that'll be another trilogy complete, which is always a plus. If you've never tried the Threadlight series and you're looking for a short fantasy series with really good world building and good characters, kind of Sanderson-esque without feeling like a ripoff, and also like short books so you don't have to dedicate a lot of time to, I highly recommend Threadlight. Next we have The Art of Prophecy by Wesley Chu. This comes out August 6th. I admit I don't know that much about this book, but I really like the cover, and a couple people have been really hyping it up. The premise sounds pretty good. I kind of just want to go in blind with this one, guys. I don't want to know much about this book, but it has captured my interest, and I am looking forward to giving it a chance. So hopefully it ends up being really good. Next we have a book that I'm actually already starting to read, but comes out in a while, and that is Scenes from My Life by Michael K. Williams. This is a memoir that's being published posthumously by a co-author that was working on him with it. It was almost finished. It comes out August 23rd. I'm about 20% into the memoir, and I already think it's beautifully written. It really just speaks with emotion and with heart, and I have no doubt that I'm going to absolutely love it. Michael K. Williams was one of my favorite actors of all time. He put such depth of humanity into every character that he played, and the person that he was outside of the and the person he was off camera seems universally regarded as being a fantastic human being, and I was so upset when he died. And I'm really happy at least that he was almost done a memoir, and he can hopefully help inspire others with this memoir. So this book will come out on August 23rd, but I should be done it in the next couple of days. Then we have one of my most anticipated books of the year, without a doubt, and that is Fairy Tale by Stephen King, which comes out on September 6th. This is a bigger book by Stephen King. It is returning to fantasy. It is potentially multiverse related. I am absolutely in on this book. I think it's good. It has the makings to be incredible. It's been such a long time since King has returned back to high fantasy, and he's just, a master at creating fiction. Some of his books might not hit as strongly as others, but when he really hits, he really hits. And I think this could be one where it ends up being a favorite if all things go well. The next three books all come out on the same day, which is September 13th, which is going to be a very big day for me in the reading life. And the first is Nona the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I've not read Harrow the Ninth yet, but I really liked Gideon the Ninth, and I have a lot of friends who are just over the moon about this series. I have every expectation I'm going to continue to enjoy it. I know Harrow the Ninth is a little controversial in how it does its storytelling choices, but knowing that going into it, I think it's going to be fine for me, and then I can be able to dive right into Nona and hopefully really enjoy that as well. The second book is another memoir, and that's a life's work by David Milch. David Milch, of course, is the creator of Deadwood, which is, in many people's opinion, one of the greatest shows ever made. I mean, Deadwood is just phenomenal. It is really good. And David Milch is like an auteur. He's such a weird, fascinating human being, and I really like getting insight into creators of art, whether it be, book writers or film directors or anything of that nature. And he also, unfortunately, has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so I feel like this is really going to be like a retrospective of his life while he's still able to remember it, and it's going to have that, tinge of sadness to it. But I'm really looking forward to it as a reading experience. I hope it's really good. And then the third book is The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate. I don't know anything about this book. The other Gabor Mate books that I've read have been fantastic. That's In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts and When the Body Says No. Gabor Mate is a great psychologist that is really working on helping us understand what stress does to the body and how we deal with so many different factors of mental health. And I will definitely be checking out his new book. Next we have The Winners, the third book of the Beartown trilogy by FREDRIK Bachman. This comes out on September 27th. I didn't like Us vs. Them as much as Beartown. I felt like it didn't have as many things to say as Beartown, but it's FREDRIK Bachman, so it was still a fantastic book. I will definitely be reading The Winners, and sometimes middle books in any trilogy can kind of be feeling light on plot, so maybe The Winners is just going to be fantastic, and I'm going to up my thoughts on the whole trilogy after, but at this point I don't think FREDRIK Bachman is going to do any wrong with me. I'm going to read anything that he writes, so really, really excited for another book by him. Next we have a book that I just found out about. It's called Strike the Zither by Joan He. Now this is a Romance of the Three Kingdoms retelling, where the historical figure of Zhuge Liang is a female strategist, and there's these three kingdoms in this fantasy world that's based on the three kingdoms of China, and it's a retelling that way, and I'm absolutely floored by the fact that this is going to exist. I am so excited. I hope I can get an arc for this book. I want more Three Kingdoms inspired fiction. I want more Three Kingdoms historical fiction. I just want more Three Kingdoms stuff, guys. I feel like it is underrepresented. There's tons of video games about it, but there's not a lot of written works about it. This is going to be a YA book, which is the only concern that I have. Not that that's going to make it a bad book, but it might just have, actual tropes and themes going through the novel that don't speak to me as much personally. But even that makes me really excited, because then other people that are going to read this book are going to be able to learn about the Three Kingdoms for the first time, and that just makes me really, really hyped. So this is probably one of my most anticipated books of the year, but it also has the most potential to disappoint me personally, even if no matter what, I'm going to be super happy that it exists. So yeah, that comes out October 25th. I absolutely can't wait for it. Next we have Friends, Lovers, and the Terrible Thing, which is Matthew Perry's memoir that's coming out November 25th. This is probably going to just be like a fluff memoir. Sometimes memoirs are just fluff. And that's the thing about memoirs, is that you can never tell before you read them. Well, sometimes you can. But you usually can't tell if they're going to be fantastic or just completely mediocre before you read them. And I'm certainly not going to go out and buy this book first day, but I will be able to get it from my library, I'm sure, because they always do the big memoir releases, and I'll probably be able to get the audiobook, and so I will probably listen to it right when it comes out. And I am really excited because Friends is like my all-time favorite comedy show. I've watched every episode like too many times, and it's just like my whole childhood, and the more I can learn about Friends, the better. I've actually read 2 books on the making of Friends already, and so yeah, I mean, a memoir from one of the main cast, it's just a no-brainer. I'm going to read it. Am I going to enjoy it? I think it depends on how surface level it is. If it's really surface level, it might just be okay, but if it really dives deep into some stuff about his personal life and his struggles and his time on Friends and what's happened since then I will probably really like it. Alright, and my most anticipated book of the year, which is sadly near the end of the year, should come to no surprises to anybody, and that is The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 4th and final book in Mistborn Era 2. Now, Mistborn Era 2 has not been my favorite of the Cosmere so far, but they've all been good. They're good books. And especially where the 3rd book left off makes me really excited to going into this one, and all of the potential Cosmere implications. I just can't wait for it. I think it is going to be fantastic. Also, Sanderson is just great at endings, and it's nice that he's bringing this chapter to an end. So while I'm excited to get the end of Wax and Wayne and Marcy and Steris, I'm also excited for him to just close this up as an arc, because I think he excels at finishing arcs. And then we can get to Mistborn Era 3, where I'm sure, things are just going to be bananas. And the last 2 books on here don't have a release date, but are scheduled for release this year. So the first is The Cistern by Susanna Clarke. I do not know anything about this book except that it's by Susanna Clarke, and I absolutely loved Piranesi, and I will support her in this. I think she's a fantastic author, and I hope it doesn't get pushed to next year, but maybe it will. And the final book, which will be coming out almost certainly this year, and that is Dread God by Will White. This is the 11th book in the Cradle series. Will pumps out Cradle books like, every 2.5 weeks feels like, and it's been 6 or 7 months since the release of Reaper, so I have every expectation that Dread God is almost finished, and this is the second to last book in the Cradle series. It's even possible he said that he could finish the series at the end of the year, but I'm not going to assume anything. I'm just going to hope that Dread God comes out this year, and if so, it will definitely be one of my most hyped books because I absolutely love this series. I think Cradle is like book cocaine. I just think it's just shoot it into my veins. It's just so good. Anyway, those are 22 books that I'm excited to check out for the rest of the year. What books are you guys most excited for? Are any of these books on your list? Did I pique your interest in any of them? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.